Okay, we only have 4 questions left to do. Let's go ahead and get them done really quickly. This first one says, I can interpret the solution to a system of equations. That just means you know what x means and you know what y means. So this question says, 2 hikers began hiking at the same time from different locations on the trail. The system of equations graphed on the grid represents the situation. Which value best represents the number of hours the 2 hikers have been hiking when they are the same distance from the start of the trail? That word same right there just lets me know I'm talking about my solution to the system. So the only thing to keep in mind from this question is what it is asking you for. It says number of hours. So I go to my graph. There is number of hours on the x-axis. Number of hours, time in hours. They match. If it was asking you for distance, well, you would look at distance. But it's not asking us for distance, so I'm not looking there. So number of hours, time. Let's go check what value that's at. Go down. Looks like 1 and a little bit. Right there, 1.3 hours is going to be my closest answer. If they said how many miles, well, you would just go the opposite direction. Here is miles. I would go over, it looks like, I don't know, 4, around 4, somewhere close to 4. All right, you have one more to do. These 2 questions. There are 2 questions on your exam that look like that. Let's keep moving. We got 3 left. This one says, I can graph systems of equations and determine solutions. It says the line graphed on the grid represents the first of 2 equations in a system. If the graph of the second equation in the system passes through the points -5, -4, and 7, 4, which is true. All right, if you know how to plot points, you can just plot them really quickly, but if you don't know how to plot points or you're unsure and want to make sure you're putting them in the right order, you could always check Desmos and it'll give you a nice picture that can help you see where to plot your points. So I see -5, -4. So we go to my graph, -5, and down to -4. -5, -4. The other point that I needed to plot was 7, 4, 7, 4, 7, 4. Right there. All that's left to do is go ahead and connect my dots and then answer my question about the solution. At this point, I can already see that my solution is right here. So answer choice A says the system has no solution. My system definitely has a solution. I already marked it on my graph. B says the system has an infinite number of solutions. It does not. It only has 1 at that red dot. C says the only solution is 4, 2. I can go check. 4, 2. 4, 2. That looks good. And D says the only solution is at 0, 3. It is not at 0, 3. 0, 3 would be up here. No. So there I go. C. You have one more to do. This one looks just like your test question, so make sure you give it a shot. All right, our next thing we have to do is write inequalities from a description. That is when you use that anchor chart on the wall. It will be up on the wall for you during the test. This is right here for you right now for the review. This first one says a university has a budget of $4,500 to buy monitors and keyboards for a computer lab. Each monitor will cost $250 and each keyboard will cost $50. Given that X represents the number of monitors and Y represents the number of keyboards, write an inequality to represent the number of monitors and keyboards the university can buy. It is not free response on your test. You'll have answer choices to help you. But for this one, I'm going to start by breaking this down. We're writing in standard form. AX plus BY equals C. And we're going to go ahead and change each of these things. The first thing, I'm going to find what this term is, this X term. X is monitors. Monitor is $250, so 250X. Let's do my Y term. Y is keyboards. Keyboards cost $50 plus 50Y. Let's finish up with this inequality. We have a budget. A budget is a less than or equal to symbol. Budget of $4,500, just like that. You have one to do right here. A customer is ordering hats and t-shirts from an online order store. I'll help you get this one marked up if you need it. It says from an online order store, each hat costs $7 and each t-shirt costs $10. The customer receives free shipping if the amount of the order is over $100. Write an inequality that represents hats X, t-shirts Y for an order that receives free shipping. So you should have one number X plus one number Y. You should have a symbol and a last number. Just like that one right here. This format, same thing right here. Okay, we have one more to do, and there is a problem on the very last question, so we're not doing that one. It says the graph, it says I can write inequalities given a table, graph, and a description. We're only going to do it from a graph. I hope y'all could hear all those cars outside. Just a side note. Okay. I can write linear inequalities given a table, a graph, and a description. A graph is shown. Which inequality represents this graph? Something to notice is all of these equations are in standard form. Okay, all of these equations have to be solved for Y first. Have to be solved for Y first. Something else you can notice, and we can get a head start, is this graph right here has a dashed line, and it is shaded above. Dashed and above. So I'll be looking for this symbol right here. On first glance, it looks like A has that symbol, but keep in mind, if you have a negative next to Y, your sign is going to flip. So these two, they do not match. For the second one, we have a positive number in front of Y, so the sign will not flip. They do not match. For C, we have a negative in front of Y, so we know this sign, when we solve it, is going to flip. Those two signs match. C is still looking pretty good. And then for D, we have a positive in front of y, the sign is not going to flip. That is the correct sign. Still looks good there. So we do need to go ahead and solve C and D for y. And then match it up in Desmos. So let's try C real quick. 3x minus 2y is less than 10. Go ahead and solve for y. Minus 3x, cross it out. I have negative 2y is less than 10 minus 3x. Divide by whatever is in front of y. In this case, a negative 2. Cross them out. And I end up with y. 10 minus 3x over negative 2. And the only thing that we talked about up here, okay, we made that prediction. We had a negative number in front of y. Negative number in front of y, so I divided by a negative. So I know that my less than sign is going to change. It's going to be a greater than sign now. Less than changed. Now it is a greater than because we divided by a negative. Divided by a negative. So that final sign right here will be a greater than sign. All right, putting this in Desmos, we have y equals 10 minus 3x over negative 2. And there's my graph right there. 3.33, negative 5. That looks like 3.33 and negative 5. So that is my correct answer right there for C. I am going to show you why it's not D, since this is the last question, but I mean, you're good to stop here. So, well, that was fun. So right here, D, or bring it down. We have 3x plus 2y is greater than 10. If we go ahead and solve for y, and divide and solve for y, I get y is greater than 10 minus 3x over 2. And if I were to put this equation right in here, I would have y equals 10 minus 3x over that negative 2. Oh, over a positive 2. And that does not look the same. That line looks like this. They look very different. It would not be D. It's definitely C. And we don't have to do that last question, so that is our entire review. If you did the whole thing, let's put it this way. If you did the whole thing, you get 15 bonus points, which makes it really hard to fail. If you did the whole review and you understand it, you're going to do fine on Friday's test. So that's the whole review. Good luck.